Welcome to Uncharted, the Young Professionals podcast. I'm Chris, and we have a special guest today, our advisor, Brad Allen.
Thanks very much for having me.
No problem. Today's episode 4, and we're doing corporate culture. So, Brad, I know you're a business guy and you've been in the business field for a long time. Can you explain to me what contrast you can make between old corporate culture and now you see?
Well, that's a great question, because when a student, especially somebody just coming out of college, wants to choose a company to work for, the culture is something a lot of times a student underestimates, but yet it can make a big difference in terms of how enjoyable or how dynamic your career could possibly be. If you're in a very strict corporate culture, something that's really regimented, you're at your desk by 8, you leave at 5, not a lot of leeway, not a lot of wiggle room, dress code, the whole bit, it can sometimes be a little overwhelming to a new hire. The other spectrum is sometimes kind of a more relaxed corporate environment, corporate culture, sometimes doesn't give enough structure or guidance to a new hire. So corporate culture is something you really should pay attention to as you're evaluating where you want to work after you get your degree from Plymouth State.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start that. Can you speak a little bit on longevity with a company? Because I know before, baby boomers, they stayed with companies a while, but us as millennials or Generation Z, we would say, I feel like we bounce around from company to company. Is that something you frown upon, or is that something that works?
Well, it's kind of could be both. I hate to give you that. Now, I'm a real firm believer that your first job out of Plymouth State, you probably should stay there for at least a year, ideally 2. Just because if you don't, it gives a wrong impression that you can't make a commitment. When a company hires somebody with little work experience, it's a bit of a risk. So you want to show them that you're serious and you're teachable. After the year or 2 kind of a benchmark period, 1, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable in your degree, and you're going to have a chance to kind of show your skills. The last thing to remember is, once you're inside a company, especially a large company, it's easier to navigate other job opportunities. So say you get hired in sales, and you ultimately want to get into finance or logistics. All the good jobs are usually advertised within a company before they go to an outside source. Once you're inside the door, you have a chance to look around and see those other career options before they get advertised to the outside. And the longer you're there, the more you have a chance to network and kind of explore and determine, what's a good fit for you, what's not a good fit. So a good example would be, are you a person that likes to be behind a desk in kind of a more traditional job role, or do you like to be out in the field and travel a little bit more? 2 very different career paths, and culturally very different. Time management's different and expectations are different, but you're not going to know that until you're kind of had some time in the corporation itself.
I feel that. This summer I actually spent time on our sales floor, and it was very collaborative. There were a bunch of cubicles, but you see everyone walking around and having conversations, and it was lighthearted in the office. And I feel amazing the fact that I got to see and experience office etiquette before I got out in the real world, because there was no one to tell me about keeping the communal kitchen clean, or not wearing too much cologne in the office, or even just keeping your voice down on phone calls. Just little nuances like that, and that it's learning as you go. What opportunities have you found by just getting tossed in the fire in corporate America?
Oh boy, some great stories. My first real job, let's put it that way. I worked for MCI Telecommunications, which is a company that no longer exists. Much of it is now Verizon. But I was a territory sales rep, just selling long distance and data services. And the list of what I didn't know was just incredible. I was very quota driven, and it was, outside sales, but a lot of inside learning and things like this. Funny and embarrassing situation. So my boss was a young guy. It was a pretty young company, pretty dynamic. He said, tell you what, we're going to have casual Fridays. Well, I was used to wearing a suit and a tie and pretty dressed up. Well, that casual Friday, I looked up, I rolled in like I was going to play volleyball. I mean, shorts and a t-shirt and flip-flops. I kind of missed the definition of casual, and they're like, what are you doing? It's like, I wouldn't have you to a yard sale. I'm like, what do you mean, it's casual Friday? It's like, no, that means khakis and a tennis shirt, not
quarter zip.
And boy, oh boy, they made me pay for that for a little bit, but there's a lot to learn, and you're right, you've got to pick up on those things, because you're part of a team, and one of the biggest things in any new corporations, they want to see how you can fit in culturally. Are you a team player? Are you, you get a cup of coffee, get somebody else a cup of coffee, and are you willing to stay late if you're needed once in a while? You're going to play in the company softball team, and there's a whole lot of ways that you can distinguish yourself. But as a marketing leader in the AMA and here at MAPS, we all have our own brand. And you've got to be cognizant of that all the time. And I think too often, all of us, your generation maybe a little bit more than previous generations, you tend to go casual too quick. You got to understand that your professional environment and your outside of work environment, it's blurry because of social media, but you're always trying to build your brand, because you can create career challenges if you have a couple of too many beers, at the company picnic, or if you're a little too, loose with a joke or your sense of humor. Certainly talking about politics these days is kind of a dicey thing. And, it's all part of the culture. And let somebody else tell a joke that maybe is a little bit off humor, or let somebody else kind of push the boundaries of what you might think is conservative, but you've got to protect that brand.
Of course. Do you feel like the opportunities are limited anymore? Because I feel like we're at a time where information isn't just delegated to one group of people. Everyone, the internet's your friend. You can go on the internet and learn anything, and business sees no color except green. That's what I like to think. And there's so many ways you can get into business, get your foot in, and develop yourself within. Did you see some opportunities like that? Did you have some mentors help you see that vision?
Yes, all the above. Everybody needs a good mentor, and don't be shy about that. And again, if you look good and you're professional, you're articulate, and you do a little bit of research, don't be lazy in your preparation, even for a casual meeting. So if you see somebody that you'd like to be your mentor, it's like, take 5 minutes and go look at their LinkedIn profile. Where do they go to school? What activities do they have? What organizations have they been a part of? What charities do they get involved with? So you can say, look, I'm investing a little bit of time because I'm asking you to guide me or help navigate a career. And it's really pretty simple stuff. And because technology is so powerful these days, you're exactly right. You can learn a lot very, very quickly, which also means that collaboration is very powerful, and you're going to be dealing with people sometimes on a global basis that you may never meet face to face. When I was with some of my bigger corporate gigs, and that's an important word I want to go back to, I may have an attorney in Washington, D.C. that wrote my contracts. I might have technical support in another part of the country. These are people that you may never meet. And then all of a sudden you go to a trade show or a conference like, hey, Kathy, oh my goodness, I've been working with you for 2 years. I've never met you. So the ability to collaborate in a digital world is different than, hey, you know what, you and I share a cubicle. We're both in the same office in the same city. You have to navigate and you have to build those relationships in different ways, which means you're always maintaining your brand. You're always paying attention to, how do you spell, words correctly in your email? Don't be too casual in a digital world. And, no emojis and none of the stuff that, again, you might do with your friends, but you've got to create that demarcation point between what's your professional life and what's outside of it.
I may be one of those culprits you're talking about with the emojis. I throw an occasional smiley face in like emails. It depends on who you're writing it to. As long as you're cognizant of your audience and who's going to see this.
It sounds silly, but every little thing we do in the digital world, somebody can pay attention to. So if you only communicate via email or some type of social media, and you don't take the time to spell something correctly, it just makes you look either careless or ignorant. But if they don't have any other feedback, then both apply. It's like, there's Brad Allen, the guy can't spell. It's like, well, if he doesn't pay attention to a simple detail like spelling, how am I going to sign $1 million deal with him? Do I really want to put my trust in his product if he's so careless with the details just in communication before the contract's signed? So you might think it's insignificant, but people have the ability to build perceptions about us, and that's part of the culture that we're creating too. If you're detail-oriented in your culture, you can, kind of pervade or persuade that in other parts of your communications as well.
We harp that in MAPS a lot. I know you say this a lot. I picked up from you, actually, if we're going to talk about something, we have to do it. And we can spitball all the ideas we want and just write them down until we're blue in the face. But unless we go on the forefront and do the footwork of it, it won't come into fruition. And I love that you're the one that hammers it into us every week that if we're going to talk about it, we have to do it. And that's something that sticks with me a lot, throughout my time knowing you. And
Just don't worry about it.
My last question for you, Brad. If there's any advice you can give someone like me or anybody watching this that's making that transition in the corporate world, what do you have for me? What advice?
In a globalized world, we're going to skill sets where each of us provide value. But the days of thinking that you're just going to go to one place and you're going to be there forever, that's ideal. But the reality is you may have 2 or 3 careers, and within those careers, multiple jobs. And developing a skill set means that you and I have to always be proactively looking on the horizon, seeing what's changing. Now, if I was to say, Chris, do you want to go out and open up a travel agency? You'd be like, no, my God, that's so old school. I mean, no, don't, I just do my reservations with Kayak or Travelocity. I do it myself. Well, you're exactly right. Technology has changed that industry. Well, we all have to look upstream and kind of say, okay, what's changing within my skill sets? Because I'm being paid for the value I bring to the organization. And in a gig economy, meaning you could be a full-time employee or you could be a part-time consultant. And that means all the difference in the world. Well, that means you could be a full-time employee in one part of the world, but you could be a consultant all around the world. And bringing that knowledge in a knowledge-based economy is really important. Culturally, organizations are fostering people that make good decisions. You and I are compensated and rewarded by our ability to look at a whole confusing world with a lot of variables and say, I can make a good decision quickly that brought value to my organization. And if you're good with a $100,000 decision, they'll give you $1 million decision. If you're good with 5 people, we'll give you 20 people to manage. And that's how our careers progress. So it's all the combination of the brand you portray, the details you pay attention to, and the quality of the decisions. That's what creates a corporate culture of success and accountability. And you'll be successful in any industry if you can put those things together.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it. Thanks for swinging by.
No worries.
Thanks so much.